All right, everyone. Whew, I am very excited to jump into this episode all about finding your purpose because this is, I would say, one of the most frequently questions that I get asked on just like, how do I get a sense of purpose? How do I find what I'm meant to do? How do I get my dream job? How do I feel? How do I know what my purpose is in the world? And so I've got some bullet points to go through. I'm going to be like shooting fucking nuggets left and right. So everyone just buckle up, get a notepad and pen out. You might want to even come back and re-listen to this episode. The first thing that I want to say, first thing, and this goes definitely for men, but of course it can go for women as well, is that you can find purpose outside of your job. So for men, this is really the case for you guys because we really, in terms of work, like our feminine energy really needs to feel like fulfilled and our heart needs to be filled. Our heart needs to be full. So if we do not have a sense of purpose at work, it's probably going to be short lived because we need that sense of like love and desire and radiance to then actually keep going because we don't want to be like the protectors and the providers. That's not innate to us. Men, you guys have it like a little bit easier these days when it comes to finding a job that you love, in the sense of you guys really can find purpose outside of your job. So you might hate, I mean, how many of us have dads that even did this? Or maybe like this is your partner or your husband. You know, so many men will potentially hate their job or not really love it. Like it's not their purpose. It's not lighting them up, setting their soul on fire. But they get up, they go to work every day, they're fine about it, blah, 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 because their purpose lies in the fact that they are bringing home money that feeds their children, gets them education, keeps the roof over their head, and they feel like the provider and the protector. So their purpose isn't to be dealing with Wall Street like stocks all day or whatever it's called. Their purpose is to make money, to provide for their family. And I wanted to mention this to begin with because I do think this is very important because I do feel like these days people can be like really hyper fixated on I've got to love my job. I have to love my job. I have to love my job. And loving your job is obviously super ideal. Like that's what everybody wants. And you also need to realize that you can find love for your job because of what your job gives you. So for those of you that even like are working in a cafe right now, let's say, and you hate it, this used to be me, fucking hated it because I wanted to go and run my own business. I wanted to have this successful business and blah, 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 blah. But I gained a sense of purpose from going to that cafe and working those like 10-hour shifts every single day because that gave me the money to then actually start my dream business. For those of you that are the sole breadwinners, your purpose could be it allows you to bring money home to then pay for your children. And so it can be like a reframing that's sometimes required so that you actually can find purpose in your job rather than thinking your job has to give you a sense of purpose. So for men, it is a little bit easier though. I've definitely noticed that. For women, it's like our heart needs to be like on fire, right? And so I'm kind of going to be talking a little bit more to the women these days, but in this episode, but everything I say is still very relevant to men. I just want to preface by saying the answer isn't just quit your job and like go start a bajillion other things and see what sticks. Like that is not the answer. I'm going to give you the answer as we go through this though. So just listen, okay? Now, I want to quickly say that you need to drop the expectation of finding your purpose overnight or like one day waking up and like, oh, I figured out what it is that I want to do, because that is just unrealistic. And maybe some people have that story, but that was absolutely not mine. And I've never heard of another person actually having that story. Like no one that I know has had that story. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going to give you a really quick recap on how I got to here. So my job right now, this is literally my life's purpose. I would potentially sometimes say that I would put, like, fiance, don't listen to this, I would put this job, if I had to choose between this job and like having a beautiful relationship but not working, I would probably choose this job, to be honest. I feel like intuitively, but that doesn't mean I'm doing that. Like I won't actually put my job over my relationship. But if someone said to me, you have to pick, I'd probably pick my job. If like gun to my head, I'd probably pick my work. I feel intuitively that my soul was put here on this planet to do this work. My name actually means the advisor. It means to advise and counsel. And so, and like from a young age, I was always like giving everybody advice and telling everybody what to do, and like has had this kind of like wisdom well beyond my years. And I do fully feel that my like soul has had a bajillion years, and I'm just like, I've reincarnated into this body, if you will, because ever since I started doing this work, I mean, I was young when I started doing this work. I was maybe 20 or 21 maybe, I think, I want to say. And so many people have said, like, you are so young, but you know so much. Like, how do you know this? You guys will even ask me this, like, Monica, how do you know all this information? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. It's like I was like just given it. I will say things sometimes and I'm like, where did that come from? That was so good. And yes, it's partly channeled, but I also believe that it's like partly coded into me, and I already knew it like when I came on this planet. And as I've gotten older, it's just gotten like parts of it have just gotten activated as I've like found the words for it, if you will. So anyway, so my job right now is my purpose, but I didn't wake up one day and just figure this out. My like how I got here was starting with a fucking food blog. I started posting my recipes on Snapchat for my friends back when Snapchat was a thing. Apparently it still is. I do not engage in that. So in on my gap year, right out of year 12, I was becoming a ski instructor. So I trained to be a ski instructor. I moved to London for a bit. I was traveling around, and I was posting my recipes on Snapchat. That is how it started. Then my friend Steph said to me, cheers, Steph. She said, she listens to my podcast, so she probably honestly listened to this. She said to me, I remember it so clearly. I remember exactly where I was sitting in this London apartment. And she said to me, can you just like start a blog or something so that I can stop asking you for your recipes? And so I started a blog, and the blog was called, and I still to this day hate this name, but I couldn't think of anything else different. In My Bowls, like BOWLS, In My Bowls. And that is how my business started. So then I started posting recipes on my blog and on Instagram, and kind of one thing after another. I was actually studying business with a marketing major at university. And after a year, I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do this. And so, because it was all like data and just shit that was like not lighting me up. I was like, wait, I thought marketing was like colors and imagery. No. Anyway, and so then I left that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to sit in a clinic every day. Anyway, so long story short, I then went and started my Bachelor of Nutrition, and I also started life coaching at the same time. My certification for that, which was like a 2 year or 2 and a bit year certification. And so, that's then what started everything off. It was a fucking food blog. And it was also losing my period for 2 years and then talking about that on this Instagram page. That's what started everything off. Then it shifted into talking about food for like fertility and periods and hormones and all of that. And then it shifted into the energy component and like the mindset and kind of trauma component of how that can then affect our hormones and our period and endometriosis and PCOS and all that. And then that is basically how everything started. And then it just kind of snowballed. And now here we are. So I say this to you guys because I'm like, it took me from age 18 to let's say 21, 22. Yeah. To actually find this business where I then started Monica Yates Health. And then, of course, it took like a year to get this going and to figure out my thing. And then it kind of snowballed. And, how I started off obviously isn't how it is right now. But I'm sharing this because how it starts is not how it ends. How it starts isn't even how it's going to be when you're successful, but you just have to start. You have to find your purpose, just start doing the things that lights you up, that makes you happy, that just feels good. Even if I don't want to do this forever, don't focus on the forever. Focus on the now. Focus on what makes you happy now, because you never know what could then come. And so if I didn't start that food blog, we wouldn't know if I would then be here, because that food blog, if you scroll down far enough on my Instagram, I mean, you'll be there for like hours. The app will probably like break before you get down there. If you scroll all the way down, you will see all of my food pictures. You will see that. And that has evolved over time. And now we're here. And I actually still have a bunch of the recipes on my website. They're really good. So you can go look at them if you want. But yeah, I had a job on the side well, no, I had a full-time job at a cafe, and then I did that on the side. Then I transitioned to being a recipe developer, and I did that part-time and tried to get my food blog thing up. And like the food blog thing, by the way, wasn't fucking working. I was making like $400 every once in a while. Like a peanut butter company would pay me to like, make a recipe and whatever. So that wasn't sticking, but I kept at it. I kept at it. I kept doing it. I kept doing it. I kept doing it. And I found my groove rather than just throwing the towel in after a year. And I say this because whether you are starting your own business or whether you're working for somebody else, so many young people have this mentality these days, and it's because of fucking social media. So many young people have this mentality of, if I don't love it in the first like 2 months, that's it, I quit. They put so much power outside of them rather realizing that like they're the ones that makes their job amazing. They're the ones that is going to make their business successful. So just taking out like running your own business for a second, because this doesn't, finding your purpose, by the way, does not mean you have to run your own business, because for plenty of people, they are terrible at running businesses and they shouldn't run businesses. A lot of people, I feel like these days, think running a business seems so glamorous, so amazing, blah, blah, blah. It is not that at all. And if you want a job that you can switch off from, do not start your own business, because having your own business is a full-time job. It is a child in and of itself, and you will never fully close your brain off. Even, being on holiday for my wedding, like I guess right now as when you guys listen to this, and on the honeymoon and everything, I know for a fact that even though I'm not working at all, I'm not writing a fucking Instagram post, I'm not doing anything, I know my brain's still going to be ticking away. I 100% know it, because if it wasn't, honestly, that would be more concerning than if it actually was, because my business is my baby. Now, if you are working for somebody else, this is super important. You can find an immense sense of purpose working for somebody else. I mean, thank God we don't all want to be entrepreneurs, because that would be very, very boring, and also it just wouldn't work. But you need to realize that as an employee or as a contractor or whatever you are, like working for somebody else, basically, you are also in charge of finding your sense of purpose in that. Because somebody else can't give you, in my opinion, a sense of purpose, because what their idea is of your purpose is completely different to what your purpose feels like for you. But you need to realize that even though you might work for somebody else, you are influencing a greater purpose. Now, whether that is that your purpose is bringing money home to pay for your children and your family and food and the roof over your head, or whether you can get a sense of purpose knowing that your contribution to this company allows, this company to then help X, Y, and Z people, or to grow into ABC, or you're making somebody else's life easier. For example, your purpose, let's say you're an assistant, your purpose could be, I get so much of a sense of purpose off knowing that I'm making my boss's life easier. That is your purpose. That is not a less valuable or less worthy or like not as good, whatever you want to call it, purpose than somebody else that is going out there and saving lives. And like, I don't know, their purpose is like being a healer or being a doctor or like being an ambulance, like a paramedic, whatever it is. There is no purpose, in my opinion, that's like better than somebody else's. You cannot compare yourself to somebody else. And if you do, that's your own projection. What you need to do, though, so that you have a sense of purpose that feels good for you, is to create purpose in your job, is to realize the flow on effect that your job has on a bigger picture of the company that you're working for or the people that you're working for or whatever it is, and get a sense of purpose out of that. Like you are the one leading yourself. You have to lead yourself. Okay. So don't wait for somebody else to give you your purpose. Like that is the biggest mistake. Do not wait for that. You have to go and get your purpose and create purpose. Like get creative in that, and also change your mindset around things, and like have some self-reflection of potentially how you're blocking purpose, or how you're like comparing or thinking purpose has to look like one image because of social media. For those of you needing an extended payment plan for Queen Alchemy, and maybe that's been a barrier to entry of why you haven't been able to join Queen Alchemy in the past, because you've needed a longer payment plan, because we have such a gap right now thanks to the Christmas holidays, and then also because of my book coming out, and then the wedding and all of those things, we are able to offer a super extended payment plan right now for Queen Alchemy. This will not be happening again, because usually there is never this much of a break between two rounds. So if you have been wanting to join for a long time, do not self-sabotage this. The earlier that you join Queen Alchemy, the longer the payment plan is. So if you join, for example, in August, you will be able to get, I think, an 8-month payment plan, if I'm correct. So the longer that you wait and the closer we get to when we actually are going to be starting Queen Alchemy, which is March next year, we'll probably launch it in February. Well, yeah, we'll launch it in February. So the longer that you wait to join Queen Alchemy, as in the sooner we get to actually starting the next round, then the less we can help you with those long-term payment plans. I know that lots of you want the long extended payment plans. So now's your choice to jump on them. If you go to the website page and then you just enroll, like you click enroll now at the very top, you'll then be able to choose your payment plan option when you fill in the form. And you can also join Queen Alchemy now and pay in full if you want to as well, or do a shorter payment plan. You don't have to join Queen Alchemy now with a long payment plan. If you want to join now so you have plenty of time to dig into all of the materials so you're super ahead before we start the live stuff, you can do that too. All right, back into the episode. And I also will say on the back of this that your purpose does change as your life changes. When I become a mum, I know that my sole purpose will not be this business. Of course not. How could it be? I will also have an immense sense of purpose being a mum. So we also have to remember that there isn't just this one purpose in life. Your purpose when you're 18 years old can be to make money. Then your purpose when you're 25 could be to contribute to XYZ company. And your purpose is to then go up the ladder so that you can have X goal achieved. Just create direction for yourself. So many people are lacking direction these days. And I believe that it is because they place this ridiculous expectation on themselves. They are expecting to be a CEO overnight. One, you actually probably think the job is way more glamorous than it is. And once you get there, you'll probably be like, damn, I don't actually want this. But number two, that is not how it works. And in fact, even if you got it overnight, you would as humans are wired to want next. You wouldn't then be happy for the rest of your life. You then want the next thing. So actually being able to appreciate the journey that you're in, the fact that it might take you 2 years to get the promotion, enjoy that. Because one day, I'm telling you, one day you will miss your life as it is right now. You will miss your job, your business, all of it as it is right now. So everyone listening, just really be willing for this to take a bit of time. And one of my biggest tricks is if you're trying to quote unquote find your purpose, stop finding it. Stop looking for it. Stop going out and fucking hunting for it like you're hunting for food. Stop. We all know that when you go shopping, looking for a particular dress, do you find the dress? No. That dress cannot be found. Then you just go shopping on a Sunday and you're just kind of dawdling. You almost can't be bothered going shopping, but you go anyway. And then what happens is you find 10 dresses that you have nowhere to wear them to, but you find them and you're like, I need them. So you can use this metaphor, if you will, for finding your dream job. When you are looking for your dream job, you are not going to find it. Stop looking. When you stop looking, you'll find it. And the reason for this is, and this goes for when you're trying to find the next step for your manifestation, or when you are trying to find a solution for something. When you are looking through the lens of what you know. This is a fucking nugget. Everybody focus. Okay. Lesson time. When you are looking for something, you are looking through the lens, your lens, you have glasses on, of what you know and what you've already seen before. That is actually very limiting. When you stop looking, you take these glasses off of what you know and what you've seen before, because you're only looking based on what you actually have seen before. You take the glasses off, and now all of a sudden you're seeing things that you hadn't noticed before. So now all of a sudden you're seeing opportunities that had you been looking for your dream job, you would have been pigeonholing yourself, because you would have been looking for the next steps based on what you think are the next steps. But when you take the glasses off, you open up your awareness, and now things pop into your life, opportunities pop into your life, ideas pop into your life, whatever it is, synchronicities pop in, things pop in that make you go, huh? And you would never have seen that if you were just hyper focused and hyper fixated on, this is how I think I'm going to get my purpose. Because what you're looking for is just based on how you think you're going to get your purpose. But you don't know how you're going to find your purpose. If you knew, you'd already have it. Stop looking. Because if you If it was that easy to just like find your purpose, like it's just sitting on the side of the road, you would have already found it. So instead of looking for your purpose, just focus on becoming a better version of yourself. Focus on expanding your mind. Focus on doing different things. Focus on challenging yourself. Go traveling. Go take a fucking course. Go be in different energy. That is what you need, because what that does is it opens you up. You see different things. Why is traveling so inspiring? Because you aren't looking at the same fucking shit all the time. It is a different culture. It's a different view. It's a different landscape. It's a different language. And as a result of that, you're looking with like an expanded vision. It's like you've got greater peripheral vision almost than you did. So thinking of it visually, if you're watching the video, if you are looking for your dream job, it's like this. Like you have these like blinders on. Like you're only seeing what's right in front of you, right? But when you stop looking, you take the blinders off. And now it's like you can look left to right, you can look over here, you can look over here, you can look up, and you actually can just see a lot more. You're not looking. And so because you're not looking, boom, this idea pops in. Boom, this opportunity pops in. Boom, all of a sudden you think about texting this person from school that you haven't spoken to in 10 years. Like all these things pop in because you've taken your blinders off. You've stopped limiting yourself. So think about the metaphor of dress shopping. So whenever I am trying to get an answer to something, whether it's not purpose related for me, but if I'm trying to get an answer to like even just the decision that I should do, or like how to get a manifestation to come in, or anything like that, I stop thinking, I stop looking, I stop analyzing. If I have a big creative block, I'm not then thinking about how to fix it. I'm not like researching a bunch of shit and trying harder. I'm actually relaxing and I'm taking off those kind of blinders, if you will, so the ideas can come to me. Now, this doesn't mean, and I'm hoping we all know this, but like just a little reminder, this doesn't mean that you just sit there passively and like, twiddling your fucking hair and like filing your nails all day. That's not, this doesn't mean that you just sit there in this like passive fucking role doing nothing. No. Remember what I said. You are going and you are doing the things that light you up. You are becoming a better version of yourself. You are reading books. You are joining courses. You are traveling. So you are taking action. You are fueling your body. You are going and doing things that step you outside your comfort zone. You're just not obsessively looking for your purpose. Okay. And this is really important because sometimes you truly need to see other things or be in different places or be in different energy to like experiment, to feel something different. And as a result of that, you then find another pathway. You find something that you never would have thought to consider previously. Very important, right? It really is like everything happens for a reason. So instead of trying to like hyperfixate and control, can you just surrender a little bit more? Still take the aligned action, but surrender. So if you're trying to find your dream job, and you've just been turned down from place after place after place, that doesn't mean you stop applying and throw the towel in. You keep applying, you keep manifesting, you keep becoming a better version of yourself. You're reading books, you're bettering yourself every day. And it sucks when you get denied over and over and over again. But then when the job comes in that you see and you're like, I wouldn't have, this is kind of random, but like fuck it, because I literally have nothing to lose. I'm getting no bites. I'll just apply, whatever. And then that person is like, I want to interview you. And you're like, what, for this random job that I like don't even know what the hell it is? All right. You get on an interview and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, this is my dream job. Like this is fucking it. You would never have applied for that if you were not in that place of like desperation, let's just say. So even though, you guys had this episode coming out soon about like basically like how hard quantum leaps are and like the ego death before a quantum leap. Even though sometimes when we're manifesting something, it can feel like nothing is happening. It's a fucking shit show. Everything's against us. Like literally the world is crumbling. What you don't know is that that is part of the manifestation, because that kind of like dark stuff or like the negative stuff or what looks ugly and seems like you aren't going anywhere, that is directing you. Like that is still, even though you're like, this isn't what I wanted, it is still giving you the direction that you're asking for. It's just not covered in rainbows and butterflies and looking all cute. Okay. So focus on what you are good at. Don't focus on what you're not good at. Focus on becoming a better version of yourself and just stop looking and stop expecting to have your purpose or your dream job overnight, because you might start this job that's like, all right, maybe it's a bit challenging. Maybe it's a bit hard. Maybe it's like, whatever, you're not 100% sure about it. But if there's parts of it that you love, or if the company is something that you love or you support, or if you feel like there is this like vision of me working here and, making a lot of money and being able to do X, Y, and Z, or whatever your goals are at the company, then keep working for that. Get yourself there. I see too many people these days, because I interview plenty of them. Too many people these days give up. It's like people stay at companies for a year, 2 years, and then it's like, I'm bored. It's too hard. Like, the too much work. And yeah, maybe you were bored. Maybe it was too hard. Maybe there was too much work. But also, did you lead yourself? Did you actually try? Right? Or do you have the mentality of, when it's too hard, fuck it, I give up, avoidance? Because a lot of people have that mentality. It's too hard. Fuck it, I give up, avoidance, rather than, this is challenging. Let me ask for help. Let me get more productive. Let me lead myself. Let me, whatever it is, like, get resourceful. And then over time, what happens is 5 years later, you're like, thank God I stayed, because now look at what I get. Now look at what I've built with this company. Now look at the loyalty that this company has with me, and I'm now reaping the rewards of it. Remember that. Like, if you work for somebody that cares about loyalty, then they want you to have your dream job in here, and they want you to stay for a long time, and they want you to help you. But the question is, do you want to help yourself? Or when times get tough, do you just fucking throw the towel in? Whew. I told you guys nuggets today. I really did. So I'm going to leave it there. Juicy episode, finding your purpose. I also did an episode, man, it was probably like nearly 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, on also finding your purpose. I talked about some different things. If you need another episode, go and listen to that one. We'll link it below so you can jump back to that as well. Don't forget, there is a full podcast directory so you can jump around and listen to all the episodes. And for those of you that have been listening to the episode for a while, the podcast for a while, you love it, you resonate with it, you've gotten nuggets from it, I would be so, so, so grateful if you could please just take 1 second. Well, it's going to take actually about 35 seconds to please leave a review on the Apple Podcast app. You can rate it 5 stars on Spotify, but unfortunately you can't like leave a written review yet. Those iTunes written reviews really, really help in the ranking of the podcast and helping other people to find it as well. And I read them, and they mean the world to me. So if you haven't already left one and you have gotten a lot out of the episode, or maybe you've even worked with me and you would like to like put some nice words there so other people can see that, I'm the real deal, I would be really, really eternally grateful. And you can send a screenshot to media@monicagateshealth.com, and we'll also send you a free gift as well that you can't get anywhere on the website. Okay, I will see you guys in the next episode.